We are having today a very interesting discussion. We are supposed to talk about payments, about instant payments, including those systems of instant payments, about how this service has been developing, how it has been promoted, what additional services are arranged around providing new services, new opportunities to the clients, banks, technological companies and their partners. And we will talk about what mechanisms to implement both the Russian and transborder payments are provided to their customers and what is going on in the market in this area. First of all, let me introduce our distinguished guest speakers of today's panel. General Director of the Georgievskiy company and of NSPK, Vladimir Komlev, the Vice President of the Tinkoff Bank, Sergey Khromov, the Senior Vice President and Chief of the Digital Business Block in the VTB Bank, Nikita Chugunov, Vice President of the Joint Stock Company Russian Export Center, Stanislav Georgievskiy, and General Director of the ATOL Pay Company, Vladimir Kanin. I'd like today, dear colleagues, to build this talk in such a way that we were debating in the context of the payment services today are becoming wider than the payment itself. And I will remind you of several organizational moments. Every participant in the hall, in the audience, can ask a question in our mobile applications to the panel participants. You will see these instructions how to send your question on the display. We will try at the end of our discussion to allocate time for such an opportunity to make comments, your questions, and I suggest that we start our discussion now. The system of instant payments, according to the measures of the market, the financial market, is considered to be quite a young system. It was launched, I remind you, in 2019, and in the early stage of its making, timed with all those well-known events, say 2020 and 2021, those were years of the pandemic. In 2022, we faced, in the beginning of the year, our current economic reality sanctions. Today, we have understood that over this period, the system, in many ways, has turned to be quite timely. For it to become a reliable instrument for this period, for the citizens, for the individuals, and for many, it has become the main way of interbanking transmittance and transfers and remittances. We have implemented 6 scenarios to transfer between individuals, payment for the goods, commodities, including those for the services, including those by QR code and by pushing the push button. Pressing the push button, the contactless payments technologies have been developing very quickly, and accessibility beginning from this year between transfers between the companies, the B2B services, and as was said already, what has been implemented is the possibility of remittance of money into the budget, to individual's budget, and transborder transfers as an aspect is also important. There are figures that speak for themselves. Almost every other citizen has already used these services in this country and repeats and keeps using these transfers, remittances. Over the 10 months of this year, our citizens have performed about 2 billion transfers to the amount of more than 10 trillion rubles, which is twice as high the indicators over the previous 3 years, since the moment when the services were launched. On the part of the businesses, we have seen a strong interest to the system. The amounts and numbers, quantities of these operations have grown more than 10 times, and this dynamic of operations on one hand is undoubtedly is predetermined by the low cost and the speed of remittances in favor of businesses. And I remind you, the companies receive their funds in the online mode, and this is the support of the state, especially to those small and middle-sized businesses. We have the program of payment for banking commissions from the budget has been underway for 2 years, and we see that the instant payments are opening new opportunities for the market by getting integrated into their own products of these services, these payment services, some specific applied tasks that resolve the requirements of almost every particular private business. It's not sufficient to perform every particular payment. What we need is additional overlay services that enable the customers new opportunities, seamless payments. For example, we see new players, actors coming to the market. They have their own solutions with the SBP, different operations with different responsibilities, RAM systems. And this is where I think our colleagues would tell about these innovations. And today I'd like to talk about these aspects, looking at them from different sides. We know, and I hope that Vladimir will tell us about those ambitious plans of developing instant payment systems. We all know that there are not less ambitious tasks to resolve, to developing the MIR payment system. And this MIR banking card has part of our life already. And my first question to the NSP card chief, given that the international players, actors have quit the Russian market, would you tell about your plans and tasks in promotion and developing and promoting a system of instant payments? The first panel, we had a very important discussion about that, how to provide for competition on this payment market, in what way this cooperation between these systems is capable of developing and stimulating this development. Thank you. Hello, good afternoon, dear colleagues, dear friends. Stanislav, thank you for this opportunity. I liked very much the title of the session, Instant Payments as a New Rhythm of Life. The word instant, it speaks for itself and it carries a lot of meanings. It's impossible to be performed without online. It's about remittance without convenience when it can be done really in such a good interface, and undoubtedly this is the speed of services, the speed of remittances, and speed for the buyers, speed for the service enterprises, the speed for the turnover of money for the economy through instant remittances. This all can be said about instant payments. All these aspects are very important, and we are working on these aspects. We have to work on all of them if we want to stay competitive. And at SBP, where the system of instant payments is going through the stage of its own establishment, and also at talking about the MIR system that have already established and proved that system of instant payment along established standards and products. And these products are developing further on and requiring new meaning. What I liked is this game around this thesis: fast, cheap, and high quality. Choose these two parameters. This thesis was close to me because I don't mean the quality. It shouldn't be discussed for the products on any payment system. What is interesting for me was to compare that's cheap against the expensive. We have always been in favor of this thesis of exchange time for money. This is how you can win on all the parameters and financial resources. If sooner you produce and you enter the market with new services, with new products, be it payment system, be it some digital new services, all this always is correct, and the experience of NSPK has shown that exchange time for money is always great. And I have my own thesis that money should be spent until it runs out. This is what concerns today's life and necessity of this tempo growth, speed of our life today. The MIR and SBP system companies have certain number of places where we come across, and these are the cases when we use competition, cooperation and competition at the same time. I think this is about, in answering your question, often given, how come you you're left alone? How come? And the competition, when the Visa and MasterCards have left, this competition has changed its accents. If earlier we had this national payment card assisted by the state, there was a huge stimulus to occupy a certain share of the market. Is the Master, Visa card, and Mir. Those were the three basic retail card systems. The aspect has shifted somehow. It shifted to cashless Russian payment instruments versus cash-based money turnover. Some results and great schemes in this aspect, some accentuation has shifted where we are feeling this full-fledged competition that influences in how we are perceived by businesses, by the state, by the Russian citizens. And this is what I have given all these three basic strategic areas of our movement, where we assess ourselves and according to which we are readjusting ourselves in terms of developing. These are the three Russians: the business, banks and enterprises, and the state. In each of these areas we have very big scales and projects of activities, and in all of them, first of all, we consider that client's experience, so that the payments could be fast, convenient, online, and up to date. Talking about the updatedness, it's important for us that on one hand we are found ourselves in a unique situation when we can, without any pressure of international masters, we can create our own products that can be different, that can develop and grow on today's Russian markets. At the same time, they shouldn't diverge, given what is going on in the world, and the time will come when we will have to converge in some international instruments and services, so that we could be compatible further on. These three aspects are very important. Talking about the Mir system is more and more digitalization, immobilization of all those applications in the world. It's clear, given the fact that all these international players have quit the Russian market, like Apple Pay, Google Pay, something has changed. The Mir Pay has stayed here, and we should do everything so for the Mir Pay be convenient for the banks that are likely to start contactless payment systems as part of their services, we hope. And also, this can be integrated into the Mir Pay system. We want to see an payment system performed by one touch, and this client experience in developing different functions around mobile applications seems to me to be that very mainstream that is going to dominate in the world for quite a long time further on, as the focus we've been working on, so that to have all our products and payment services be highly valued by the customers, by the clients, wherever these clients and customers are. And of course, there's a number of services, joint services, that might be not that seen by the customers. Together with some banks, some products have been developed. We are working on for major enterprises, for some built-in applications for the Mir system. There's a lot we've been working on, not to say about the electronic certificate. It's all about the speed, about the conveniences, about the instantaneous mode as a factor of necessity, as a development their delivery on the market and payments. Here, this second product, I am sure we can find a correct limitation, and everything will have its own. There are some very important segments in financial markets. For some segments might be better, for some segments to use cards, for some it might be better to use the instant payment systems. This is where we can see and we can find this understanding what is going to use what is more convenient to whom. what products are more convenient for whom. And of course, we can come across somewhere, and the market is likely to determine to a great extent where exactly this or that system is going to be more applicable, and competition will be reproduced in full measure. And we have already heard about many new products of progress according to different scenarios of payments, of which we have already talked about. And there's a lot of this is about to talk about this integration into the SBP system, some registration system, loyalty programs. It's about development of very interesting areas in the NFC payments structures through the SBP. It might be our internal things aimed at higher efficiency for the bank, so that they could, so that the service could be more efficient, more convenient. And in fact, this is what I wanted to say about it is some SDK systems. There's service and trade providing companies and enterprises and businesses that could integrate in a seamless way without any bureaucratic, without any red tape barriers, so that they could start receiving those payments through this instant payment system, so that those pay transfers and transactions would go instantaneously as fast as possible. There's a lot of tasks. We should implement them. We should resolve them in a speedy way, and we keep competing for clients, those clients that can move to the cash. This is what we wouldn't like to have, and this competition is quite tough in the benchmarks that have already existed on the market for these payments to stay as convenient and qualitative as they are to be aimed at. Thank you so much. I would agree with Vladimir that this is where a speed and timely manner of developing necessary solutions is important, and this practical experience of many banks, many participants, is of importance. In this deep integration with retailer infrastructures or implementation of innovation products and services is what plays its own role when especially adapted products are developed for a certain segment of the market. This I would ask Nikita Chugunov to tell about. I know that you have already implemented some projects and you have plans, you're likely to have plans what to share. It's important, utterly important, extremely important to understand where the industry is working towards and developing. Thank you. It's not about the plans. I would like to share my thoughts, my ideas. We have implemented lots of different products in all the industries, perhaps where we could get them implemented and launched. And the colleagues from that corporate businesses launched in small and middle-sized businesses. Regulatory services have gotten connected to the SBP and some other, and for kindergartens that carry out these regular payments. And we can, you name it, we've been working with the SBP and NERPA offline, but hopefully we will start testing online paying systems. Talking about the main things, going through the main things, if we talk about the area, the sphere, business sphere, as the first thing that comes up to me, and where we have become great, really strong, this is small and middle-sized businesses. As it seemed to me, the factor of this success was the progress of the trade enterprises, businesses themselves, because they started stimulating their clients, they started providing discounts to their customers so that the customers could buy. It is beneficial, profitable for the salespersons themselves. But the efficiency and the conveniences of these payments of the SPP actually took the upper hand, and took the upper hand over the loyalty of customers. And the self-employed people is quite a big role they're playing And what we see is a kind of a self-developing segment, and with the QR codes prevailing there. It was very interesting to see electronic commerce in the internet trade, where and due to some bad circumstances, when Google Pay, Apple Pay have quit the SBEP, provided its conveniency, and which has taken the upper hand, which prevailed, because you shouldn't use that card and to suffer a lot. You just press the push button and perform the payment, and you can lose some scores of loyalty because you have one kind of some kind of discount. We have launched innovation services, of course, and it's kind of agitation that has happened. We got agitated because the services of there's VTB tip services, 10 coins service. They launched it in their SBP system. The share it accounted for about 80% of these services, and yesterday we had that 85% of payments that went through the SBP. When a client leaves tips and they see that check is small, it's not convenient to introduce that banking card. These innovation services have been built quite well, and plus we're working on big major projects on the transport quite successfully. I'd like to move to the big retail businesses. The big retail, this is everything that is connected with classical retail and shops and all this story. Of course, we have seen less growth, not that strong growth. Of course, we have recorded some growth there, but for the client, it is a usage-driven history. When you see a client coming and checking this or that product, or it has having kind of loyalty to the bank, some card, and from the merchant, if this is a Mir card and you are supposed to use, you're going to use, and where you have all the bonuses, and all of a sudden the Mir Pay contactless payment system, you can use it, and it seemed to be the simplest one, but we have had difficulty in competing with that standard user behavior by paying the card through the card. And this is talking about the big retail. Now, perhaps the main thoughts the ideas we're working on, and together with the colleagues from the NSPK, we're working through, is the first thing is that the SBP is becoming a full-fledged payment solution together with, on par with the Mir system, with the Mir payment system. And it can be another bright example of perhaps Poland, for example, not a friendly country, that Mir payment system is quite popular. There's a parity, all the payment systems are equal there. And the first thing, and the second idea we're working on is if the SBP becomes full-fledged competitor, and together with it is used on par with in all the industries and payments, and of course we need to do something with convenience in that big retail, because it's not that competitive in terms of its convenience from the point of these card-based payments and token-based payments, because WellPay has a very good client experience, and we got to think about loyalty, because clients it is prevailing for the customer loyalty. You talk about that we're going to solve this issue with loyalty, and perhaps in fact, as we have heard before, the SBP might be becoming kind of a niche service. So you might cover some niche. There's a niche that is well-known payback account. That's how it's called. And it might go to some regular payments, some big purchases, some other industries. These are the ideas we've been working on, and we should develop them. In the near future, we should determine in what way, in what area we should should go, and how we should develop that. And of course, solutions on contactless payments, because I've seen it does exist. It's working very well among the self-employed and small business and the big retail. As to the big retail, we have issues with that. If it's supposed to like might be, if we resolve that, it would be great. And last idea say is that the customers of the Apple devices, they are most deprived, of all the customers. They don't have these instant payments, and they have deleted all the banking applications. Everything is bad. They're feeling very low. And what are we going to do with them? Either we should do something with a QR present or NFC, MFC, and the Apple, it's about 20%. It accounts for 20% of the market. But for us as a bank that is dealing more with, we're working with the more or less wealthy segment of clients, it's quite an issue for us. And if we talk about for the way we're choosing as a VTB bank, and there's no doubt that we working with different systems, and we're looking at different systems, and as Tinkoff payment bank, and we try to kick around with several major players, and for us we chose and we opted for another way. What is interesting for us is the position of some correct, just distribution for clients. It's not about isolating on ourselves and encapsulating on ourselves, but it's like a solution there for the mere pay system. And SBP is more interesting for us, and our task here is, as I see it, is to provide make it a maximally convenient and equal method for all the clients. The mere pay is convenient, okay. SBP, working with SBP is convenient, yes. So perhaps it's a competitive solution. These are competitive solutions, and we decided for us to go towards supporting the solutions that created on the SBK basis. The important thing for us is not to lose anything here, to stick to the principle of win-win business principle from point of profitability for the bank. And of course, covering the bank commissions for us is interesting. Talking about the SBP, we'll have this also, but the most important thing that this story should not become a losing story for us. The client is very important for us. Thank you. Thank you. So has touched upon a very important, extremely important aspect, that the SBP services should be convenient and major for both the big companies, big retail companies and businesses, and those that receive payment. This is why where our next question might be given to Vladimir Kanin, the ATOL pay company. Will it tell us about what you've been doing together with your partners, how the delivery suppliers, such a company as your company, of some cashier solutions are helping major big businesses, perhaps sometimes, and small and little businesses need such a support. What new opportunities for them are provided by you and opened by you? Thank you. Hello, dear friends. Thank you for this opportunity. The retail automation, we have become such a distinguished company, a payment company. We are doing solutions I've been doing solutions for longer than 20 years, and it's clear that we have had some lines for small businesses, micro merchants, and for big enterprises also. We have tried to unify all the payment methods accepted, banking cards, classical QR payments, and so on, and to provide them, to integrate them into all these lines. The share in the market enables to give some major figures, and every other hour purchase and clients is done with the clients who are using our solutions. The first we were first to deal with, to start working with small businesses. What we see here, it's obvious that when the banks started integrating with the SBP, someone rushed to the onboarding process. There are several banks that have done that. You call them in the morning and you just install the Yacom. You use the Yacom. We took a long time to registration. We addressed an SPK a year ago, asking not let us, and not as a bank, and not as a participant of financial market, as a logical provider of cashiers solutions. Let's integrate and become a logical partner. They supported us, and this is what the breakthrough in the spring of this year, when we shared with this year those banks that enabled to do these onboarding operations. We provide our services, application, request, And we have seen a huge company, a campaign aimed at merchants to be integrated. And proceeding from that high rate, it was the acquiring price that was very much attractive, and they rushed into it. And especially different segments of the businesses, that rate was quite painful, and a card payment was 2% higher than there was some rough services and some points of growth for some buyers regarding how to curtail that process. Because it's like with the card businesses, payments for decades. When people didn't use that card, they were afraid of this. How come? How just this PIN code and that and that again? And the same history, similar history took place here. Not all the citizens and buyers are young. Not everyone is advanced ones, and this story has been accumulating. And in the first stage, at the last mile, at the first line of the attack, of retail attack, we withstood that blow. We worked with many questions of from the merchants, how come, why and where. After they start integrating into this process, they start asking us, can you help us? And we call it business logic. This experience was paid in the card-based payments, how to do that split transaction, how to do that partial authorization, everything. We're expecting everything, all this in these QR payments. We heard them say, okay, can we do this way and that way? Can we? That's a barber shop, for example. Can we pay partially to the barber himself? And we have been accumulating all that in this small snowball. We are waiting, we're expecting this, because it's a central bank and SPK, for example. You are sitting there on top of the iceberg and you see those 3 million different businesses, and they all have different business processes, different business processes. There are no two similar barber shops or two similar restaurants. We will accumulate and we'll bring that story to Vladimir Valeryevich, who will have to sort things out. And consequently and respectively, we can believe that when we consider the Western experience, we believe that this history of payments, be QR payments or card payments, be it Poland, those been giving the example of Brazil, they have very similar system. Sooner or later, this history, this story of card and QR payments turns into commodity transportation. Whereas our task as a provider of this cashiers solutions is to provide, to secure that not a bank, not the central bank, not the SPK, the users of our philosophy is of merchant. We should, specific merchant, we should concentrate on it. We should sell our commodity to him. In my speeches, my reports, I can just give all the abbreviations connected with payment industry, beginning from FM, PCN, this, and then portal, and the merchant falls upon hearing all that and goes unconscious. And we all want to get it back in such a way that the clients should say, I want to use these payments. And together with SPK, we have been developing huge workshops, holding workshops in order to how to have these merchants not feel this magic. And there's a hell of a lot of diagrams that are offered in implementing those diagrams. The merchants, you can do this way and that way. And in completing and finishing up, when you ask about the plans, our priority with SPP is number one. This priority is number one for us. The QR payment, together with the products based on it, and NPL, and credit for merchants, providing loans for merchants for their trade sales turnover. And all this is being done quite successfully. And there's a lot of points of growth. The main problems we have encountered in the heads and the brains of of end users, chaos starts appearing, and I would be happy. And I would even be happy if QR became synonym of SBP, but unfortunately it won't happen, because sometimes you can see the business card of this cafeteria on the counter, or you can see the QR of a specific bank, or Alla Pay. Because the pandemic has become less, not that strong, because of the pandemic over the last 2 years. I have a collection of these photos. You can see somewhere some specific action. QR is a method, and together with the chaos, you can fight against this chaos. Only we can do that through scanner through barcode, through display. We can do that. We can process all this through our systems. Thanks those LBP colleagues from the SBP who placed that logo inside of this logo QR code. There's 3 bright letters. That's a very big help, so that elderly customers who pay for this, our feelings is SBP is a wonderful technological product. We understand that all the banks were developing at different speeds. To this onboarding, we have already, and we keep telling in technical workshops that the ideas how to do that even less seamless, the speedier, faster, because the shorter the time between the wish of the merchant to get connected in the his first transactions, the more statistics of number of transactions and the turnover you will get. And thank you. This is how I would answer your question. Thank you, Vladimir. I'm sure that our aim is, a joint aim is, we're talking about us. It's not about only the number, the quantity and volumes of statistics that should show the growth of this or that system, which undoubtedly is a direct, a bright indicator of its demand and its necessity on the market and its use, and it's about quality of having products enter on the market. Is great that now, as part of this discussion, we have shared so many ideas and tasks. We have been discussing them in the PROM, in the PROD, and the system of the regarding the nearest future plans, about our thoughts and ideas. But we have seen that movement, and what is great is to hear and record that SBP system of instant payment has already been acting on the basis of growing, accelerating, and expanding absolutely different services, technologies, and resolve all those business tasks. And I'm sure that what is important for people is that the car should be driven, and as fast as possible from point A to point B as fast as possible. We don't care about what is beneath that car, and these tasks of resolving financial solution to applied tasks is been done successfully in the fintech and under the new conditions of the market. The chiefs at the previous panels kept talking about this, that they admitted that they were not ready to invest into startups and into their fantasies, into some of their tasks, and into the current market. But at the same time, there are conditions in the tasks we're facing. How, in what way, how do the banks, such technological ones as fintech, for example, Sergey, you might guess already, it's a question to you, and how do you manage to compete with the fintech companies, with such smart companies that within the shortest time possible they deliver fantastic solutions? How the banks under these conditions manage to cater for your clients' requirements? What is innovations? What are those innovation solutions Tinkoff is offering now? Thank you for this opportunity. First of all, talking about the competition. The competition is great, is good. It's great because we're all developing, we're all going on, we're all making progress, we're all seeking, looking for, we use some new instruments, some technologies in order to make our services better, our products better, the best products and best services, and so on. And in order to fight and compete with the fintech, you should be like a fintech or be the fintech itself. And the Tinkoff is simpler for the Tinkoff because in the beginning we were the fintech. This is where we were helped by Tobinka. We laid down initially into our team the relations to the products in the speed of delivery and to the our attitude to the client's experience, and you see that this provides a very good result. 27 clients we have already chosen, have already opted for us. And if we look around, in Russia, in the fintech is driven by the banks. The fintech is the banks, major banks mainly, basically. They're doing it in different ways. Someone is was cared about the superstructure. Someone was a bank at the very beginning, but they start anew. They start from scratch, all of them. Our last ecosystem-based colleagues, oriented colleagues, started to purchase banks in order to provide full-fledged fintech. And in general, our main efforts are made in terms of making this client's experience better, improved it. And about 10 years ago, we launched the transfers at the telephone numbers. At the telephone numbers, this is when we saw that this was the best and most correct customer's experience. And when we started to jointly, together with the central bank colleagues in SPK, to start building that system of instant payments with other banks, we were one of the most active participants and one of the first to have launched that service for their clients. And even if now, if we look at what is the SBP system of instant payments, and Tinkoff Bank, 50% of all its transactions, remittances, including the payments, is done through the system of instant payments in the Tinkoff Bank. Just think of this. Just imagine. Just for a short period of time, 50% of these payments have been transferred through this system of instant payments now in a Tinkoff Bank. This is where we're running towards. And if we move on, so for us, and the system of instant payments is a platform with bricks from which we're using to make different scenarios. The scenarios are those bricks. We are building our products, we are perfecting them, and we're providing them to our clients because we love our clients. We build some kind of fences around it, and maximally we give a free hand to the client's choices in our attitude to those limits as part of this instant payment system. The cost-pay price of this channel has always been quite liberal, and we have never feared that the clients would go somewhere. On the contrary, we see him coming because we're using the best solutions in the markets, and for the client, it is for the clients that the system of instant payments is one of those instruments. How to go to the bank, to Tinkoff Bank, for example, how to remit your funds in the most convenient way. The me-to-me pool scenario is of help because we have been using our applications, and the client does request his own bank and just transfers their assets towards that bank. Its convenience is the best solution, the best application from my point of view. And in fact, if we talk about the trade service enterprises, this is where I would support Nikita. In part that we should work on acceptance and the process itself of a user's payment, and there's no doubt that in order to have it run faster or to have the banks motivate, and so that the banks be motivated, because this is an infrastructure, lots of money is invested into, and resources and people and human capital is invested into. And it's about the merchants, because someone understands them that it's easy, it's cheaper for them, but for them sometimes it's more complicated to get integrated into them. And you use this system is the simplest way. That's why I'm calling on to think on all of you to think about the economic process of this economy of this process. See, something can be invented here. And it's clear that different programs can be offered to major players that are making big contributions into the economic development. Some good rates can be provided to them, and getting back to our clients and merchants. Today, we have connected 70,000 clients to this system, but half of them are using this system of instant payments, but to get about 525 million rubles, that amount was sent back to the Committee of Commissions. There's a demand. This demand is getting stronger, and I already voiced some elements, some components of this process. What I'd like to draw your attention to is in fact the situation, or let's put it in this way, the new opportunities of this platform, of the system of instant payments as in the form of trans-border payments, which is very relevant now, and this is where we're trying to help with new solutions as an operator in terms of these transfers and remittances. And this service of subscriptions Nikita has spoken of helped us. We helped to make it more convenient, more qualitative to perform those payments, daily payments, more convenient, where you can build a unique experience on them. For example, together with one of our fintech startups, it's called the Wallet. And it's how we're building this technology with contactless payments, where the user points a discount card and performs that the payment, and this discount card is in his or her telephone. You just raise their QR code, show it to the cashiers, and this is the magic, where the magic lies. And everywhere, it's pluses everywhere, advantages everywhere. The client stays loyal to the shop, and the shop receives respective convenient and cheap method of receiving the payment. I think this is where we can see the future, and we can make you enjoy this technology in the near future. In addition, I'd like to say that if there is undoubtedly, there's a lot of different areas that we should work on, and in particular, this is the payments for services of communication, or the amenities, housing amenities. There's a big problem there of collecting those payments. There's a big problem, huge problem of accessibility to this service. Unfortunately, without these household amenities and payment for them, we couldn't resolve that issue. But at the same time, it seems that the system of instant payments has all the chances of to make that from that transfer, B2B transfer, onto its own account in the managing companies. And again, running ahead, I want to say that there's a lot of niches where the system of instant payments might be of interest. In particular, it might involve the salary project, where the salaries could be transmitted to the system of instant payments, and pay for the state services, obtain payments from the state and from other companies. And in conclusion, I want to say that everything we've been working on this story with instant payments on this platform is very important for us, for the country, for the economy, and it's important that we all find, not close, but not get close, or not, as Nikita, don't get encapsulated and not build those fences, but we should be more open toward each other. because by challenging each other, we will be able to develop better products for the clients and to be the best in the world. Thank you. Thank you so much. You have touched a very interesting aspect in the context of this aspect. I wouldn't agree with you. We don't have a problem with collectibility, collections of payments for the housing amenities. It's more about the issue of working with this information system. But it's an issue for future to be resolved, and the system of instant payment is ready to carry out these payments against the bills given, and where these implemented scenarios can work all right, and where they have already been used, where we've been talking about different aspects of payment by citizens, by individuals, by legal entities, and different combinations of B2C, C2B, C2C operations, but we have other operations, say B2B between businesses, and some banks have already implemented these kind of operations. They do provide these opportunities to their clients online. They are doing performing these operations online. I'd like to give the floor to another participant of this discussion. Given that we have started talking about state services, I want to ask you to share with this information and tell us about one of those public state services that is being implemented by the Russian Re-Export Company. Export Center that is implementing the innovation scenario of transfers between legal entities. It's a good example of integration, of collaboration, cooperation, partnership. All these words might be used are quite relevant here, and my question is to Stanislav Georgievskiy, Vice President of the Strategy of Development of RETS. Will you tell us about the solutions that is going to be accessible on your platform, how this idea of the services occurred, and what is principally new the corporate clients are supposed to get? First of all, thank you for this opportunity, dear participants. It's a fact that there is one more promising area of using the system of instant payments. It's a new disk that was developed 2 years ago and has been developing quite dynamically, and this is the aspect for all a new window in this external economic activity, and which is one of the we can formulate it like one of the elements of the general state policy in digitalization and a digital transformation of doing businesses in this country as part of that logic that has already been voiced here, to free time for businesses, to provide more time for businesses in terms of getting state services, to avoid additional bureaucratic barriers, which takes time not only in this country but in other countries. And in our platform in this respect is becoming kind of an alloy of state services that have already been implemented. And the payments in particular, this housing amenity in payments, it's more about B2B than B2G. And a platform of unified window, single window for the participants. They have both the interaction between B2B, and it's obvious that exported and imported goods need to be transported, and they need to be insured, they need to be accompanied from the point of protection of intellectual property, and with everything all this is relevant, and it's about closer interaction. And there is interaction B2G when different licenses get involved, obtaining acquisition of different certificates, customs clearance of commodities and all that, and some measures of support, and all this is being collected by us on the same platform. We started with 8 services, having 8 services in the year 2020 at the end of that year, and now We have had services, we have more than 30 services like that based on big platforms, and the services of different quality, state services also, and commercial services. We have more than 100 of them, and we provide more than 100 of them, and one of the elements of this scenario is digitalization, is to maximally simplify this way of the client's way, to make it as short as possible. Me as an exporter, so that I could come to that platform, I need to obtain a certificate of compliance with veterinary standards of my product. For example, I export beef to some country, and this way you can stand for as long time to obtain that certificate. You have to carry out some laboratory research, and you can have some inspectors visit my enterprise. I should hit the register of the access to respective markets. I should interact with lots of agencies that regulate this area of business, this particular business. If there's no history of payments, if you cannot pay for the state. So you have to hop between different. You have to reconcile your relations with different counter agents. What was important for us was to collect the entire client's way without any break, without any rupture, on the same platform. We've come a long way, having been supported by the Bank of Russia. We have come a long way this year. We have passed a federal law that, at the level of the legislation, the VAT regulated this particular area of payments to be performed in a certain area through GIS, through the single window, and we have adopted passed a decree of the Ministry of Finances that regulates this early stage of interaction with all the banks. With GIS in the beginning of planning to start that in April of next year, that is planned to become obligatory, and this is where we see a big prospect in using this system of instant payments, because in fact the logic itself of digitalization of transmitters of VAT, talking about a single window, initially it was in the creation of those instantaneous automated processes. It was about reducing the impact made by human factor on obtaining this or that service, and this results in the fact that those elements that were provided earlier at the time, about 20 working days, now it takes, talking about the interdepartmental interaction, it takes very short period of time, and the opportunity to work and then use this at this new speed and for state services and regulate financial questions, issues, and possibilities of signing a contract in the marketplace to pay these contracts instantaneously in this new area. This is an innovation in the VAT sphere area, and this is where it's another zone for us that gives us other opportunities where we should use them. Thank you. Thank you so much. And in fact, what our discussion has shown, that the market is seeking and developing additional values in the system of instant payments, which causes new products to appear, new services to appear. Those, together with the payment functionality, are getting integrated into the non-payment solutions. And it's very important. What we see is a system of instant payments that was created initially as a service of remittances at the telephone number within a very short period of time. It's becoming a comprehensive innovation service with a big potential for further development. And I see at the time, unfortunately, is about to be over soon, but we have some questions. Thank you for the questions. And given the time restriction, I would ask one question. I have chosen it using the moderator. I would like to give this question to everyone and ask every participant to briefly, very briefly, with one or two phrases to name what is, in your opinion, in the near future, is going to be the basic driver, the main driver of for the growth of this system of instant payments on our market. Thank you. Let's begin from you. I think this, if we talk about, first of all, and the C2B payments, because B2B, everything is already with all the other scenarios. Economic model and client's experience. It's about economic model and client's experience. Nikita? I think that the first driver is the key driver is that the Apple, Google are gone. The Visa masters have made their impact on clients and benefits. This is what we need to resolve this issue. On the side of free vendors, on the side of buyers also, the benefit which is beneficial for both sides. Thank you. In fact, you all have said everything. This is true, and this is client's experience, this is economy, and of course, the openness of banks, openness of all the participants towards innovation, towards changing the landscape. Stanislav, thank you. It's very hard to add anything, but it's clear that, first of all, this issue is about the usability, how convenient this system is, and how commercially beneficial, profitable it is, and how barrier-free this environment is for developments, given the involvement of all the counter agents, of all the participants of this market. I have a desire. Look, Nikita has said something about acceptance. And from a practical point of view, from our point of view, I have already brought to this idea. We've been discussing actually this, to remember the banks, or for some time, we're learning to provide small business, for small accounts, reserve small accounts for small business. A very similar mechanism should be developed to get those small and mid-sized businesses integrated to the system of instant payments, because today this is a kind of the zoo of onboarding. We say client, and with different banks we have different procedures, have to carry out different procedures, different banks, and there's pre-approved banks, pre-approved range. They provide, you give us, and we provide them, and it comes with a small delay, and you start to receive that. This is what is going to give us a boost to our development, to the growth. And this been a question from our clients, if this privilege would be extended, would the commission compensated, which is going to expire on October 31st. Would you give a wink if you know, if I were representing the government, if I were disposing the budget, I would be honest with you, and I would honestly tell you, without any winking, any hints, that the decision has not been taken. We, as the central bank, we supported that initiative. We filed the request in the government, and we are counting that they will take a positive decision. To remember that, film, what is your positive answer is going to be? The discussions are underway, and we're waiting for this. Thank you so much, dear colleagues. I am grateful to all our distinguished speakers for this wonderful, interesting discussion, for this open dialogue, for their brave ideas, challenging ideas, for their brave solutions. Thank you for your interest towards this aspect. I wish you all had interesting sessions as part of this Finnopolis conference. Thank you so much.